everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. We have a special treat for you today as we'd like to welcome back Meghan Graham, Manager of Marketing Communications and Digital at CIRA. Meghan is responsible for leading marketing strategies and the promotion of .ca domain names in Canada. She brings over 10 years of experience in marketing communications in the nonprofit and technology industries. Meghan previously joined us for an insightful discussion, and today she's returning to share even more valuable insights into the world of .ca domains. Meghan, it's great to have you back with us. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you doing?
Very well. Now, Meghan, last time we delved into the importance of websites and domain choices, and today we'd love to, dive deeper or continue our exploration on into the world of .ca domains. Let's hear your insights and expertise once more by starting with the fundamentals. Could you give our listeners a quick overview of what domain names are and their role in the online world?
Domain name really in simple terms is the web address that you use to access websites, right? So it is what you would type into a browser like google.ca or facebook.com or CIRA.ca. So it is, a pivotal part of the internet these days and how we get online and how we access websites. And a domain name is actually made up of a couple of different parts. To break it down for you, it's, the first part, and the example that I use with google.ca, the first part of the domain would be called the second level domain, which is Google. And then the second part is what's called the top level domain. So that would be .ca in this example. And there are many different top level domains that you can choose from, such as .ca, .com, .net. You've probably seen a lot of different top level domains as you've browsing the internet these days, right? So there are many different choices for small businesses out there, but a top level domain really is a reflection of your brand. So I think that's an important point to get across for businesses these days is that, there are 1,000 different choices for top level domains. And it's important that when you're choosing one, you understand what that top level domain reflects for your brand. For example, .ca is certainly will reflect your brand being a Canadian brand and one that supports local and supports the Canadian economy.
Meghan, as we delve deeper into the topic, it's important for the audience to understand the differences between all these different types of domain choices that they have. We often hear about various top-level domains such as the .ca, .com, .net. Could you explain the key differences between the .ca and other TLDs?
Sure. So there's many different types of TLDs or top-level domains. So there's what's called a CCTLD. So that stands for a country code top-level domain. And that's what .ca is. So a country code top-level domain is what's associated with a country, essentially. So it's associated with a location. There are many different CCTLDs all over the world. For example, .fr would be associated with France. .au would be associated with Australia. And then there are generic top-level domains, which aren't tied to a specific location. And that would be, for example, .com or .net or .org. So when you're choosing which top-level domain you'd like to go with for your website, for your business, it's an important choice. Really, if you're a Canadian business, obviously a .ca would make the most sense for you, especially if you want to represent that you're a Canadian business and you serve Canadian customers. But if you have an international presence, that might be a different type of decision.
Mm-hmm. Now, Meghan, let's explore the advantages of choosing the .ca domain over the other TLDs. Then besides the obvious fact that the .ca represents Canada, are there any specific advantages to opting for a .ca country code top-level domain instead of generic .com?
Mm-hmm. Great question. And I think you touched on a good part in your question, actually, was that .ca represents Canada. And a big part of what .ca stands for is, the fact that you have to be a Canadian citizen or corporation to register that. So as soon as you see a website with a .ca, you know that business is Canadian. And, I think you and I have probably experienced situations where you're shopping online and, you go to check out and you realize that you're going to be charged in US dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think that happens to many people online. So a .ca is actually a great signal for your customers to show them that you charge in Canadian dollars, and then the shipping process is going to be easy for them, and they're not going to be charged any extra duty charges. And the other thing about a .ca is that it's actually can help your business get found in search results online better in Canada. So with a CCTLD, there's actually geo-targeting that takes place where, if you're searching for a business in Canada, businesses that will have a .ca are going to show up more in search results. And so you have an advantage that way as a business if you have a .ca. And really, I would say the third thing, and something that we've been passionate about at CIRA in the last couple of years, is doing research around, usage of .ca domains. And it's shown us that about Canadians are actually 4 times more likely to click on a .ca domain when they're searching for goods and services online in Canada. So I think that's, something that really is a really interesting fact to show that customers or consumers are looking for Canadian brands. They're looking for to shop local and to keep their, their spend locally, right?
Right. No, it's good that you made that point, because I had experienced that quite recently when I was doing my Black Friday shopping.
Mm-hmm.
I had an entire cart on using a .com of their version, and at the end my cost was quite higher than when I switched to the .ca. So thank you for delivering that point. Very important. Now, Meghan, for those who may not be ready to build a website at the moment, or may not see an immediate need for one, can you share some alternative ways that they can make use of the .ca domain?
Yeah, of course. That's a really good point, especially for a business that's, just starting out. They might not be ready to, put together a website, or it might be slightly intimidating. I would say, it is a great thing to get a website, especially as a business. It's, really a sign of your credibility and your professionalism to set up a website. But if it's not something that you're ready to do yet, perhaps you just started a side hustle, or you have even an idea, right? There's many different things that you can do with a .ca. So one is you can actually set up a professional email address. So for example, instead of using a Gmail or a Hotmail email address to run your business, you can actually have a customized domain. So if I set up a flower shop, if I just decided to open up a flower shop called Megan's Flowers, for example, I could have a domain registered for that, a .ca registered for that, and I could set up an email address such as info@megansflowers.ca versus megansflowers@gmail.com, something like that, right? So I think it is a much more professional way to present your business if you have a customized email address for your domain. The other option for you which is kind of interesting, is you can register a domain and actually forward it to a different website. So for example, I have a domain that I've registered that I don't need to set up a website for, but I actually forward that domain directly to my LinkedIn profile. So, that's, if you're not ready to create a website, or maybe you have an Etsy store, you could register that domain, protect your brand online, but then forward it to where you do business or where you'd like to present yourself online. So that's another option. But I would say, in a nutshell, if you have a brand, or if you have a business or an idea, I would say register a domain, protect that online, right? It is your digital identity online. And, if you're not ready to do anything with it yet, that's okay. I think it's just protecting that, your identity online.
I mean, the options are quite vast. And Megan, as we discuss the management of the .ca domains, I mean, it's very essential for our audience to really understand what role does CIRA play, and what is the entire process that looks like, right? Now, CIRA manages the .ca domain, but could you shed some light on what exactly that entails and who CIRA is as an organization?
Sure. So CIRA stands for the Canadian Internet Registration Authority. So we manage the .ca domain. So we're essentially a registry of the .ca domain, and we were created just over 20 years ago to act as a public resource, really, for the .ca domain in Canada. And we have about 3.3 million .ca domains under our management currently. And what that looks like is we're essentially the database behind all .cas in Canada. So we make sure they're protected, they're secure, and they're accessible to Canadians, and that Canadians have a great experience online, and the internet is safe and accessible for Canadians.
Right. Now, you mentioned that CIRA is a non-for-profit organization. How does this non-for-profit status impact the work, and who ultimately benefits from it?
CIRA is a not-for-profit, and I'm pretty proud of that, because every .ca domain that's sold, we actually take a set of the proceeds of that .ca domain and reinvest it back into the Canadian community. So in the past 10 years, we've actually invested about $12 million back into the Canadian community. And what that looks like is through projects like helping build internet infrastructure in the northern parts of Canada, helping with digital literacy across Canada for youth, cybersecurity awareness, those types of things. So really our mandate is to make a better internet in Canada overall.
Right.
So, not all CCTLDs and certainly not GTLDs reinvest like that back into their own country and their own internet infrastructure. So we're really proud of that fact. And, that's another reason to get a .ca domain, is you can feel good about your purchase, right? That a portion of that goes back into making a better internet in Canada.
Wow. Well, we did not know that. And it's good that you shed light on different initiatives that CIRA is working towards. But Megan, before we wrap up, for our listeners who might be interested in acquiring the .ca domain, could you share where they can go to purchase one and provide some insights into the typical cost that is associated with getting the .ca domain?
Yes, of course. So, we don't actually sell .cas at CIRA. We manage the infrastructure behind it and the regulations behind it. But in order to buy a .ca, you actually need to go through a certified registrar. So there are many different registrars to choose from, and we actually offer a very useful tool on our website. So if you go to choose.ca, you can actually type in a domain name that you're hoping to register and see if it's available. And if it is available, we actually offer you a list of certified registrars that you can make your purchase through. If it's not available, i.e. somebody has taken the domain, somebody's already using that domain, we actually offer you suggestions for alternatives. So it's a neat little tool. So if you go to choose.ca, you can actually test that out. And if you have a domain in mind that you'd like to register, you can use that. And in terms of pricing, a domain on average is about $20 a year. So it is a subscription service, so you have to renew it on a annual basis. But there are a lot of promotions that are available with different registrars. So I would encourage you to shop around when you are looking to purchase a domain. And some incentives, could be as low as 99 cents for the first year if you lock in for 2 or 3 years. But really, on average, it is about $20 a year to register a domain.
Know.
So
it's easy.
It's very
accessible.
easy. It's a really minimal cost for businesses if you think about it, right?
A great investment for sure.
A great investment. And if you think about all the different costs that businesses have to, work in these days, I think $20 is a pretty minimal cost for brand protection online and ensuring that you have a professional domain. And if you get a .ca domain, that's certainly, a signal to your customers that you are a Canadian business and that you support you support local and you are operating really in a Canadian environment.
No, it's a great credibility resource. It plays a great part in that. But thank you, Meghan. Your expertise and your insights have once again been incredibly valuable for us today. And thank you so much for coming down to see us here at our studio and sharing your knowledge with us. Thank you.
My pleasure.
As we wrap up this episode, we want to extend our heartfelt thanks to Meghan Graham for joining us today and sharing her valuable insights on .ca domains and online presence. Meghan, your expertise have been truly enlightening. We would like to thank our partners as well for their support. Our exclusive banking partner, RBC, our shipping partner, UPS, and our exclusive accounting software partner, CIRA. Thank you for joining us on this episode and stay tuned for more insightful discussions. Don't forget to subscribe to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast for the latest updates and information on all things related to domains and online presence.